When God is about to bless you, He doesn't just drop the blessing in your lap. He prepares your heart to receive it. And this preparation comes in 3 defining stages. The first stage is when you hit rock bottom. It's the breaking point, the valley, the moment of darkness when everything seems to collapse. You may lose relationships, opportunities, direction, and even hope. But in that emptiness, God draws near, not because you are perfect, but because you are desperate. Your soul finally gets quiet enough to hear His whisper. Pain has a way of silencing ego, and when you're at the bottom, there's only one place to look up. That rock bottom moment? It's not your end. It's your foundation. God strips away everything that doesn't belong to build something stronger, deeper, and lasting. He doesn't break you to punish you. He breaks the things that are holding you back: pride, fear, stubbornness, comfort, so He can build you into someone unshakable. In a world full of uncertainties, noise, and chaos, one unshakable truth stands tall: God is everything. He is the beginning and the end, the creator of the heavens, the mover of mountains, clod, surrecting, cut. Accents are sound counts and invention of the sevens, the calmer of storms, and the healer of wounds unseen by the world. We often search for answers in places that leave us emptier than before. But when everything falls apart, when the lights go out, and when every voice around us fades, one voice still remains: the voice of God. God is not just a part of your life. He is life itself. Everything you have, everything you are, and everything you will ever be is by His design. He gives meaning to your mornings, strength to your struggles, and purpose to your pain. He isn't a backup plan or a last resort. He's the author of your story, the one who writes in perfect chapters, even when we don't understand the plot. But trusting God means understanding His timing, and His timing is always perfect. It may not align with your deadlines, your expectations, or your desires, but God never operates on our schedule. He works in seasons, not seconds. He teaches through silence and strengthens through storms. Just because you don't see the result right now doesn't mean the miracle isn't already in motion. Trust His timing. It's not delayed. It's deliberate. Then comes the second stage, self-reflection. This is where God begins to transform your mind. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? True growth doesn't happen by chance, it happens by choice. God won't just lift you out of the storm because you cry out. He'll lift you when your heart aligns with His will. That shift only happens when you start examining your own actions, your patterns, your beliefs. You begin to realize that some of the storms were not sent to destroy you, but to develop you. Sometimes God allows certain doors to close because He knows what F on the other side is not aligned with your calling, and unless you reflect, you'll keep running in circles. You see, your breakthrough isn't just about God acting, it's about you understanding. You can't grow if you don't know why you're stuck. You can't change unless you first confront the parts of you that need healing. So now you've wept, you've reflected, you've repented, and perhaps most importantly, you started listening. Not just with your ears, but with your heart. You're no longer asking God to just change your situation. You're asking Him to change you. That's where true transformation begins, not outside of you, but deep within. But here's the hard truth. Once you've turned to God, once you've surrendered, it still doesn't mean everything will become easy overnight. You might expect the blessing to show up the next morning, the healing to come immediately, the answers to be loud and clear. But often, God's response is stillness, a sacred silence. Why? Because this is the part of the process where faith is forged. God isn't ignoring you. He's training you. Just like gold is refined in fire, Faith is refined in silence and time. It's easy to trust when everything's going your way. But can you trust him when the blessing hasn't arrived yet? Can you believe even when it feels like you're standing still? Because that's the next stage of your journey, trusting God's timing. We live in a world obsessed with speed. Fast food, instant answers, same-day delivery. But God doesn't rush growth. He values process over pressure. He isn't in a hurry because his timing is rooted in eternity, not urgency. What you see as delay, he sees as development. Have you ever planted a seed? You bury it in darkness. For weeks, maybe even months, there's no visible sign of growth. But underground, something miraculous is happening. Roots are forming. The foundation is being laid, and when the time is right, that seed breaks through the surface and becomes what it was destined to be. Your life is just like that seed. And this leads to the third stage, tears and true repentance. This isn't about guilt, it's about transformation. Repentance isn't just saying, I'm sorry. It's saying, I'm done being who I was, and I'm ready to become who you made me to be. This is the moment your heart breaks open and finally becomes honest before God. And in that raw, unfiltered state, healing begins. As it is written in Psalm 126:5, those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy. Your tears are not wasted. Every drop waters the soil for future joy. Every prayer in pain is heard. Every cry in the dark is echoed in heaven. You may not see it yet, but one day you will look back and see this chapter as the turning point, not the breakdown, but the breakthrough. Your suffering wasn't meaningless. It was sacred because in it, God walked with you, carried you, and started reshaping your destiny. And when the blessing comes, and you will know exactly why it took the route it did. Not to delay you, but to prepare you. Not to punish you, but to promote you. So hold on, my friend. Keep trusting. Keep growing. Keep seeking God, not just for what he can give, but for who he is. Because when you truly find God, you won't just find strength, you'll find peace, purpose, and a life that no storm can shake. What you think is stagnation might actually be preparation. God is growing your roots. He's deepening your character, building your patience, strengthening your faith. Because if he gives you the blessing too soon without preparation, the weight of it could crush you. But when you're ready, not just emotionally, but spiritually, he will open the floodgates. So stop comparing your journey to someone else's. You don't know what battles they're facing behind closed doors. God is writing your story with a different ink, a different pace, a different grace. Trust the author. He hasn't forgotten you. He's just taking his time to create something beautifully eternal. And while you wait, don't sit idle. This season is not a punishment, it's an invitation. Use this time to go deeper. Deepen your prayer life. Deepen your understanding of his word. Deepen your love for others. Because waiting is not wasted when you're growing in the wait. But God works behind the scenes. In places you can't see. Doors are being opened. Hearts are being softened. Miracles are being aligned. All in the unseen realm. You don't have to see it to believe it. You have to trust it because he promised. And God never breaks a promise. Isaiah 60:22 says, when the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen. Not you, not your plans, not your timeline. The Lord will make it happen. You just stay obedient, faithful, and open-hearted. And here's something powerful. Sometimes God doesn't change the storm because he wants the storm to change you. Strength isn't built in comfort, it's built in challenge. So instead of praying for the storm to pass, start asking God to teach you to dance in the rain. That's how you rise. That's how you mature. That's how you grow into someone who can carry the weight of the calling over your life. You see, the purpose of this entire journey isn't just about receiving blessings. It's about becoming blessable, becoming someone who won't forget God once the gifts arrive. Someone who still prays when life is good. Someone who doesn't place their identity in what they have, but in who holds them. Because at the end of the day, your greatest treasure is not the dream coming true, it's knowing the one who made you dream in the first place. So, my friend, keep walking. Even if the road feels long. Even if the answers haven't come. Even if it feels like nothing is happening. Keep trusting. Keep believing. Keep moving in obedience. You're not alone. God is not distant. He's right beside you, working in ways you can't imagine, preparing things you didn't ask for, and holding your future with loving hands. The day will come, and it will, when all of this will make sense. You'll look back and say, if God had answered me when I wanted, I would have missed what I truly needed. And on that day, you'll realize the wait wasn't a waste. It was a weaving of character, courage, humility, and faith. There will come a day when the silence breaks. You'll feel it first, a quiet shift in your spirit. The burden won't feel so heavy. The questions won't seem so loud. The fear will loosen its grip, not because your circumstances changed, but because you did. And that change didn't happen in the victory, it happened in the waiting. The waiting taught you to stand without seeing, to believe without touching, to trust without knowing. That's not weakness, that's warrior faith. But now, God is calling you to do more than wait. He is calling you to walk. Faith was never meant to be passive. It's not about sitting in the dark, hoping for light. It's about taking steps before the sun rises. Faith is action. It's waking up every day and choosing obedience, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Remember Abraham? God told him, go to a land I will show you, not go to the land you already know. No, the direction came without a destination. And Abraham moved. That's faith in motion. That's the level of trust God wants from you. He's not going to reveal the entire map. He'll give you one step, and then he'll wait. Not to confuse you, but to see, will you move in trust, or will you freeze in fear? Many people miss their calling, not because God didn't speak, but because they didn't move. They wanted guarantees, not guidance. But God doesn't give blueprints, He gives instructions. And your obedience opens the next door. So ask yourself, what has God already told me to do that I've delayed? What instruction have I postponed because I was waiting for perfect timing or more signs? Sometimes the miracle isn't waiting on God, God is waiting on you. Step out. Speak up. Start that thing He placed on your heart. Forgive the person you've been avoiding. Leave the place He's calling you away from. Apply where you fear rejection. Move even if you're trembling because it's in motion that faith becomes real. God honors movement. In the book of Joshua, the waters of the Jordan didn't part before the priests stepped in, they parted as their feet touched the water. In other words, the miracle didn't happen while they stood on the riverbank hoping. It happened while they walked forward. And that's your calling now. You've waited. You've healed. You've grown. Now walk. Don't expect the enemy to stay silent when you start moving in faith. The moment you take ground, resistance will show up. Doubt will scream. Fear will whisper. The familiar will beg you to turn back. But keep moving. The same God who met you at the bottom is walking beside you at the start. Yes, there will be battles. Yes, the path will challenge you. But remember, God didn't bring you this far to leave you. He's not a halfway God. He's a finisher. Philippians 1:6 says, He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. That's not just a verse, it's a promise. You may not feel ready. That's okay. Moses didn't feel ready either. Gideon was terrified. Esther hesitated. Peter failed. But they all moved when it mattered, and so can you. Because the power was never in them, it was in the God who called them. And that same God is calling you. So what does walking in faith look like practically? It looks like consistency when motivation fades. It looks like kindness when bitterness feels easier. It looks like speaking truth when silence is safer. It looks like worshiping when your heart is weary. It looks like showing up again and again, even when no one notices, even when nothing seems to change, because you're not doing it for applause, you're doing it for God. And He sees everything. He sees the prayers you whisper at midnight. He sees the tears that never hit the floor. He sees the effort you put in when no one says thank you. And He is not unjust. Hebrews 6:10 says, God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown Him. So don't give up now. You didn't come this far to stop at the edge. You're closer than you think. That breakthrough, that restoration, that peace you've been praying for, it's not far, but you have to keep walking. You're not walking alone. Heaven walks with you. Angels are assigned to you. Grace surrounds you. And every step you take in obedience is building a legacy, changing your atmosphere, and shaking the spiritual world around you. You may not see the fruit yet, but roots grow before branches. Keep watering your faith. Keep taking steps, no matter how small. You don't need to run, you just need to move. Movement in God's direction is victory, no matter the pace. And so you walk, maybe not with full confidence, but with quiet courage. Each step isn't just a move forward, it's a declaration. I trust you, God, even here, even now. But now comes the real test, endurance. Because walking in faith isn't about a single step of boldness. It's about daily obedience, over and over again. Even when progress is invisible, even when it feels like you're circling the same mountain, even when the promise looks farther than ever. This is where many give up, not because God didn't speak, but because they got tired in the middle. But you are not called to quit in the middle. You are called to endure. And endurance is not about brute strength. It's about spiritual surrender. It's about continuing the journey with God's strength, not your own. Isaiah 40:31 says, but those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not grow weary. Pienta, a further stream. They shall walk and not faint. Notice something here. The verse doesn't start with those who fight or those who win. It says those who wait. Waiting in the Lord's presence isn't passive, it's powerful. It's where your soul is recharged. It's where your spirit is revived. In your quiet time with Him, He gives you strength for the next step and wisdom for the next decision. Don't underestimate that. Yes, the world might mock your patience. They might say, why do you still believe? Why do you still serve? Why haven't you given up yet? But you know what they don't. Your strength doesn't come from yourself, it comes from your source. You've come too far to turn back now. And besides, where would you even go? The world has no peace to offer you. Fame can't fill the soul. Money can't heal a broken heart. Popularity can't give eternal purpose. Only God can. Only He satisfies the deep places of your soul. But here's the beauty of this walk. God isn't just at the destination. He walks with you every step of the way. Every time you wanted to quit, but didn't, He was there. Every tear you wiped away in silence, He caught it. Every silent prayer you whispered with trembling lips, He heard it louder than a shout. And while you're enduring, while you're fighting the good fight of faith, something is happening within you. You're becoming stronger, not just on the outside, but in your heart, your spirit, your character. See, everyone wants the crown, but few want the cross. Everyone wants the promise, but not everyone wants the process. But God is not just interested in giving you a blessing. He's interested in making you into a person who can carry the blessing. Endurance builds capacity. The pain, the delays, the unanswered questions, they're not just obstacles. They're opportunities. Each trial is training. Each hardship is refining. And each moment you choose faith over fear, you're growing into someone who can handle the weight of glory. The Apostle Paul knew this. He wrote in Romans 5:3-4, "We rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope." That's the divine order. Suffering, endurance, character, hope. This isn't motivational fluff. It's spiritual truth. Real faith doesn't live on the mountaintop. It's forged in the fire. It's formed in the valley. It's tested in the trial. And it thrives when everything around says give up, but your soul says God is still good. So now, as you continue this walk, let this sink in. Every step you take in faith is building a foundation that no storm can shake. People may not notice your kid strength. They may not applaud your hidden prayers. But heaven sees, and heaven remembers. And there will come a day sooner than you think when the seeds you've sown in faith will rise in power. When the doors that were once closed will open wide. When the no you received will make sense because it led you to something better. God's better. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. And you are not fighting alone. Angels surround you. Grace empowers you. And the same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead lives in you. This is why you endure. Not because you are strong, but because God is. And then it happens. Not with lightning. Not always with thunder. Sometimes the breakthrough comes in the most unexpected way, quietly. Gently, like the sunrise after a long night. One day, the door opens. The prayer gets answered. The peace settles in your heart. You realize this is what I was waiting for. But here's the truth. The real breakthrough didn't start when your situation changed. It started when you changed. When you stopped begging for the blessing and started becoming the kind of person who could steward it. When you learned to thank God in the hallway, even before He opened the door. That's where the breakthrough was born. See, divine breakthrough isn't just about receiving. It's about aligning. When your heart, mind, and spirit come into alignment with God's will, the atmosphere around you shifts. You start to hear His voice more clearly. You begin to move not out of desperation, but out of divine direction. And suddenly, what felt impossible becomes inevitable. Why? Because it was never about your power, it was about God's purpose. And once your spirit is aligned with His purpose, nothing can stand in the way. Mountains move. Vaults fall. Chains break. Not because you forced it, but because He declared it. When God moves, no man can stop it. No enemy can block it. No fear can delay it. Because what God starts, He finishes. That job you were denied, it wasn't rejection, it was redirection. That relationship that ended, it wasn't heartbreak, it was protection. That long season of waiting, it wasn't wasted, it was preparation. Every no was making room for a better yes. That's the mystery of divine timing. What you thought was a delay was actually precision. God was weaving details you didn't even know you'd need. He was preparing people, places, and moments that would come together in a way only He could orchestrate. Look back now. The pieces that didn't make sense at the time now fit together in perfect alignment. The closed doors, the detours, the nights you cried, all of it had purpose. Not just to bless you, but to shape you, Because God's ultimate goal isn't just your comfort, it's your calling. He didn't save you from the fire, He refined you in it. So when the world looks at you and wonders how you've made it through, you can point them to the one who walked with you through every flame. Now, don't let the breakthrough make you forget the breaker of chains. Don't stop praying because the problem is solved. Don't stop worshiping because the blessing has come. This is the time to go even deeper, to thank Him, not just for what He gave you, but for who He became to you in the waiting. The God of the valley is also the God of the victory. And as you stand in this new season, in answered prayer, in fulfilled promise, in restored strength, remember that it doesn't end here. This isn't the finish line. This is the starting point of a greater purpose. Because now you carry something more than hope. You carry a testimony. Your life becomes evidence that God still moves, still speaks, still heals, still delivers. People will look at you and see proof that He is faithful. That faith isn't foolish. That prayer isn't pointless. That even when you can't trace His hand, you can still trust His heart. And you don't have to preach a sermon. Your life will become the sermon. Your joy, your peace, your strength, these are the signs that God has touched your life. That's the real breakthrough, when people see Him through you. So what now? Now you live boldly, not arrogantly, but with holy confidence. Because you know who walks with you. You know who fights for you. You know that no matter what tomorrow holds, you already know who holds tomorrow. You won't fear the unknown anymore because you've seen what God can do with the unseen. You won't panic in the storm because you've learned to rest in the boat knowing Jesus is on board. You won't chase validation because you've been affirmed by the one who created you. This is what happens when God moves. Your identity is no longer tied to outcomes, but to His unchanging presence. So rise, child of God, stand tall, not because you're perfect, but because He is. Not because you have all the answers, but because you trust the one who does. Walk into your purpose, not with fear, but with faith. The breakthrough came not just around you, but within you. Now that you've seen God move, what will you do with the miracle? This is the most important question after the breakthrough. Because blessings come with responsibility. You weren't rescued just to be comfortable. You were called to make a difference. To live in such a way that others see the fingerprint of God on your life. To shine, not for attention, but to point others toward the light of the world. The miracle wasn't just for you. It was for the people connected to your obedience. You see, every act of faith you make becomes a seed in someone else's heart. Your story becomes someone else's survival guide. Your perseverance gives someone else the strength to keep going. That's how the kingdom of God spreads, not just through sermons, but through stories. Your story, So don't hide your scars. Show them, not as wounds, but as proof that healing is real. Talk about the nights you almost gave up, the prayers that seemed to go unanswered, the moments you doubted, because it's not your perfection that speaks the loudest, it's your redemption. It's the beauty that God brought out of your brokenness. Now you walk differently. You talk differently because you know what it's like to be held by God in your lowest and lifted by Him into purpose. And that purpose, it's bigger than you. It's not just about success. It's about significance. It's about living in such a way that eternity is changed by your existence. You are not just going to church. You are being the church. You are not just praying for impact. You are walking in it. You are not just a believer. You are a builder of the kingdom. One, you don't have to be a preacher to change lives. Be a light in your workplace. Be integrity in your family. Be hope in your community. Let your life be a living testimony of what happens when someone surrenders fully to God. Because when God gets your full yes, there's no limit to what He can do through you. It won't always be easy. There will still be battles. The enemy doesn't target the weak, he targets the rising. But now you fight for victory, not for it. You've seen too much of God's goodness to ever doubt Him again. Even when things go silent again, and they will, you'll remember God's silence is never His absence. Even when the path gets dark, and you'll recall the same God who led you out will lead you forward. This is the rhythm of faith. Mountains and valleys, fire and rain, silence and song. But through it all, your roots grow deeper, your worship grows stronger, and your love for God becomes unshakable. And that is the ultimate goal, not just blessing, not just success, but a relationship with God that no storm can destroy. He is not just your provider, He is your portion. Not just your healer, but your hope. Not just your creator, but your closest friend. So as you move forward, live fully, love boldly, receive quickly, serve humbly. And remember, your life is not just about what you build, it's about who you become. Become someone who chooses faith over fear. Someone who praises in pain and trusts in testing. Someone who lifts others when they fall and leads them back to truth. Become someone who lives with heaven in mind and love in every step. Because one day, when this life is over, we won't be measured by titles, wealth, or followers. We'll be known by our faith, our fruit, and our faithfulness. And I pray truly that when you stand before God, you'll hear the words every heart longs for, well done, good and faithful servant. Not because you were perfect, but because you never gave up. Because you trusted when it was hard. Because you loved when it hurt. Because you stood firm when the world shifted. And most of all, because you let God lead. This is your calling now. Not just to believe in God, but to walk with Him. To let Him shape you, speak through you, and shine from within you. Every day. Every choice, every breath. So rise and walk boldly into your divine purpose. Not because you know what's ahead, but because you know who goes before you. God is not finished with you. The best is still unfolding. Your life still has chapters to be written, and He holds the pen. Keep trusting. Keep walking. Keep shining. Because with God, it's only the beginning.